Welcome back to my channel. Let's jump right to the first clip from a reel on Facebook.
Every contemporary marriage starts as a one-night stand.
What? While I have referred to this guy in the past and agreed with him, I think it is just crazy to say that every contemporary marriage starts as a one-night stand. I was so shocked that I found his full video to see if more context clarified things, but it didn't. Though I will say I was pleased to see so many of his fans also criticizing him on this one, so I'm not alone. But I need to show why I find his arguments to be invalid. You see, while I certainly respect a person's expertise, I don't bow down to anyone because of their credentials if I think I can make good counter-arguments. My first reaction was that maybe he was using some definition of one-night stand that I wasn't familiar with, but he never showed one. I'm going with this description. In psychology, a one-night stand refers to a brief, superficial sexual encounter with little to no emotional investment or expectation of a future relationship, often driven by immediate desires for sexual gratification, connection, or escapism. So how on earth does that fit every contemporary marriage starting as a one-night stand? Let's dig in further.
If sex precedes commitment, then you cannot get commitment without first initiating sex, which means, at least for a time, you will need to tolerate sex without commitment. There's no way around this in the modern sexual marketplace. And this means that you need to make your peace with the fact that your future husband will likely begin as a one-night stand. And if this is true, ladies, then answer me this. If you're not willing to have one-night stands, then how are you going to get married?
The problem starts with the first four words. He's assuming sex does precede commitment. Everything else follows from that assumption. But I don't buy the premise, and I don't think he offers any meaningful evidence to make such a presumption. So what is a commitment? Well, obviously marriage is. I would also say that an engagement is a commitment, but one where they aren't quite ready to take serious vows. I go further and say going steady is a kind of commitment, but less so than an engagement. Breaking an engagement is generally considered a pretty big deal, while ending a going steady relationship is far less so. And then you have just plain dating. Even that used to have two levels. Young women used to date different guys from week to week, and no one thought anything about it. It was even encouraged by parents to discourage young people from getting too serious too soon. Some would eventually only date one person, but without calling it going steady. It was just an informal decision to not date others with zero official commitment. With all that in mind, PsycHacks seems to be taking the view that today you must first initiate sex to have commitment, and also that it starts with a one-night stand. But a one-night stand isn't only about having sex. The intent of it includes that there is no plan for something longer, and there is little, if any, emotional attachment. So, no, it is not likely that is how married people always start out. PsycHack takes the view that you cannot have commitment without sex coming first. But even today, there are women who are virgins when they marry, and you can be sure some waited until they were engaged or dated for some period of time in an exclusive arrangement and thought they really loved the guy and hoped it would lead to marriage. I find it disturbing for this guy to say women must accept providing sex to get commitment in return. I find zero justification for such a claim. Sure, with so many women willing to provide sex more easily than before modern feminism, there is more pressure on women. But that isn't the same thing as he is claiming. To say there is no way around his claim seems silly, as if the claim that if you don't do it, how are you going to get married has merit.
If you've accepted that what I'm saying might be true, that is that functionally every marriage begins as a one-night stand, then the appropriate next question becomes, how can I increase the likelihood that a one-off interaction will lead to a repeat performance? This is the same question businesses have with respect to generating recurring revenue. And the answer I would give to a woman is the same I would give to an entrepreneur. To generate repeat sales, you need two things: a good product and good customer service. If you have a good product supported with good service, you will get repeat sales. If you do not have a good product supported with good service, you will not get repeat sales. It's that simple.
Well, I don't accept what he says may be true, but let's continue on with his logic as if I do. He asks how you make it more likely that a one-night stand will lead to more from the same person. Well, that ignores part of what a one-night stand is about. You know, the part where there is no intention of it lasting longer. If, after the event, you decide you want more, then at that point you are no longer looking at a one-night stand. But that only happens in a minority of cases anyway. It's different than a business too, but let's play that game. A business may let you do a test drive of a car, or a software company may have a trial period for an app. No one looks at a free trial period for a computer app or a test drive of a car and decides they don't want anything from companies that offer those things. But giving up sex right away will often lead to men not being interested in a permanent relationship with that woman. It is true that if you are married and the wife rarely provides sex, support, peace, etc. to her husband, then, as with a business with poor customer service, she is likely to lose support from her husband. But that isn't about one-night stands. Let's continue.
In today's day and age, sex precedes commitment. For a woman to come out of the gate and negate the possibility of a one-night stand functionally implies that she needs some kind of a priori commitment where she harbors the expectation that she's guaranteed multiple dates before the initial interaction in order for her to even entertain the possibility of dating a man. And that's an unreasonable demand.
Once again, he makes a blanket declaration about sex coming first. Sure, many more men expect sex right away than when I was young, which is mostly the fault of modern feminism, but it sure isn't even close to an absolute. He actually talks as if there is something wrong if a woman rules it out, even if she is just denying it to someone whom she presently has no romantics for. After all, when talking about one-night stands, they aren't serious relationships by definition. I also don't think it is about wanting a guarantee of multiple dates. For one thing, I think it is more about not wanting to have sex unless she thinks the relationship may be, or at least has a good chance to, become serious. How does she tell if it is becoming serious? Well, no guaranteed way, but having multiple dates is a good start. After all, it at least shows he's interested in asking her out again, and you get to know each other better. At any point, either partner could change their mind, right? So lots of women will wait. How long varies, of course, but the principle is the same. Some will wait until they're engaged, some will wait until marriage, some will do many sexual things short of intercourse along the way. But you sure don't have to have one-night stands. A man just out for sex probably won't spend much time with a woman who doesn't put out pretty quickly, which, if a woman is seeking a good husband, is probably a darn good reason to date a while to gain a better idea of what kind of person he is, or even wait for marriage. It gets a bit crazier.
Like, see it from the other side, ladies. Why would a man make that kind of commitment to a woman he hasn't even met yet, and who hasn't demonstrated that she can add any positive value to his life?
Did you see it? Now he's talking about a woman who hasn't even met the guy yet. Why should a woman have sex right away with a man she hasn't met before? Even if she gets a good first impression on that first date, it's still just one date and easy for men to hide what they are really like. And what is the supposed commitment the woman is expecting? Multiple dates? Absolutely not. A second, third, or more date may happen or may not. Neither partner is committing to anything to start with other than to have a first date. Later they may commit to a second, but it isn't like the woman is saying, "You have to promise you'll date me 3 times if you expect me to have sex on our first date." Who does that? There is no commitment until they at least reach the point where they decide they will only date each other for the foreseeable future. He goes on.
Only the most lonely or desperate men would agree to this.
Really? No strong, good men are willing to date more than once to get sex? Or won't marry someone who doesn't put out quickly?
Ladies, I'd like you to talk to your married girlfriends. Ask them about the earliest stages of their courtship and listen carefully to their answers. It's very likely that at the beginning of their relationship, a relationship that eventually led to marriage, they had a one-night stand.
I'm sure some have had one-night stands that did lead to marriage, but it would be a minority. I've seen stats that say 27% of one-night stands have led to more serious relationships. Note the key words, more serious, not marriage. There are many serious relationships that don't lead to marriage. Therefore, the number of one-night stands that do lead to marriage would almost certainly be far less than 27%.
Since sex precedes commitment, the first time is always a one-night stand. It's just two people who were sufficiently interested in and attracted to each other initiating a sexual relationship without any reasonable guarantee that they will see each other.
There he goes again, acting like it is just a fact that sex precedes commitment, to the point of saying the first time is always a one-night stand. Most of the videos I've seen from PsycHacks have seemed reasonable, but this one seems just outlandish to me. Frankly, if I bought into what he is saying and I had a daughter going out on a first date with a new guy, it would make sense for me to tell her, don't forget to have sex so you have a chance to get married. But that seems irrational to me. Good thing I don't accept what he's saying. Unfortunately, since seeing this particular video, I've seen other new ones that are just as bizarre. They sound like someone trying to provide ammunition for men to pressure their girlfriends to give in to having sex. To me, it's not much different than the excuses I saw men use when I was young, except these add the veneer of an expert source. Frankly, from what I've seen lately, I would never let a daughter of mine date a guy who's promoting this stuff. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.